What's going on, everybody? Sonar here, and I just got back from fishing the Kissimmee chain down in Florida for stop number 2 of the FLW tour and had a decent finish down there. And I really owe a lot of my success at that event to one certain tactic that I use every single time I go down to Florida. It's something I really rely on for finding fish quickly and also dissecting an area, especially during the spawn, and that is swimming a worm like this with a high vibration tail to it. This particular bait right here, this is a prototype of a bait that I'm working with Z-Man on to kind of incorporate all the different design qualities that I really like for this category of baits, and it has the added benefits of elastic, so I'm really excited to be introducing that. Still got some tweaks, but I'm gonna be really stoked on this one. So, but this category of baits is just phenomenal down in Florida, fishing it through grass, whether you're burning it on the surface or just slow rolling it through those grass flats. It's very versatile and you can cover a lot of water with it. So I wanted to show you the setup that I have for fishing this category of baits that I think is really gonna help you catch more fish in those lakes that have a lot of grass. Let's start off with the hook. The hook that you use for this tactic is so very important because you're fishing heavy vegetation, and so you need a hook that can really handle heavy vegetation and big fish. And so I use a Hayabusa Fishing NRB coated 959 hook. This is a wide gap hook. It's got that NRB coating, so it has a very smooth finish to it. I get good solid penetration when I'm making those long casts through that grass, and so this is the hook that I like to use, and it never failed me throughout the week, even when I was getting those short line fish that hit near the boat and setting the hook hard with this heavy braid. But overall, I use a 4/0 or 5/0 depending on the size of the worm that I'm using. Usually I lean on the 5/0 a little bit more, but that hook right there is so key. It's so key to have a heavy wire hook and a extra wide gap design, and that's exactly what I have here with the 959. And then we go to the line that I use. The line that I use is equally as important. I use a braided line 100% of the time. It's very important. It has no stretch. It cuts through that grass real easy, and you get good solid hook sets. And so I use 50-pound braid. This is vicious, no fade braid. This is an awesome braid because it casts really good. It has a really good shape to it, and it's also really strong, and it doesn't fade, which is a big plus. And then as far as the weight that I use with this tactic, of course you're Texas rigging it to make it completely weedless, but it's really important to use a weight for this. And generally the weight that I use 90% of the time, I'd say, is a 3/16 ounce tungsten weight. This is a Fitzgerald Fishing tungsten worm weight, 3/16 ounce, and then I've started adding a flippin' bead to it too. Now this is a Fitzgerald Fishing flippin' bead, and one thing that does is when you're swimming it through the grass, and especially when it comes to pads, the pads are gonna push this weight very firmly against the head of the worm, and what'll happen is if you don't have that bead there, the worm's gonna end up kinking up and it's just not gonna be right, but that bead really keeps the whole package completely straight. So that's really important. That's something I just started doing, and it just makes a lot of sense. Next, let's talk about the rod and the reel. The rod that I like to use is a 7.5 foot medium heavy Versa series rod from Fitzgerald Rods. I like a 7.5 footer because it gives you a lot of leverage. You can make long casts. I like a medium heavy because you get those long casts because of the softer tip. You can really load up that rod tip when you make those casts. But it's a medium heavy, so it's got plenty of backbone to bring those fish back to the boat through the heavy cover. So 7.5 foot medium heavy Versa series. Awesome rod for this tactic. And then finally, we've got a high speed gear ratio stunner reel. This right here is an awesome reel. It's very durable. It's got brass gears in it, all aluminum frame. And I like a high speed gear ratio reel because I like to be ultra efficient and make a lot of casts and just fish very quickly to find those fish and be able to control the speed of my retrieve. So that setup right there is what I use for these high vibration tail worms. Swimming it through the grass is a tactic that works. It just straight up catches fish down in Florida and any lake that has a lot of emergent vegetation and even submergent vegetation. So give it a shot. I know it's gonna catch you more fish, and I'm gonna see you guys out in the water.